first thing we should talk about is probably the election.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's gonna be interesting, huh? We're still in it. What are your thoughts so far?
As far as I'm concerned, it's over.
You
I
think
don't think
so?
I don't think Trump has any path to victory. Uh, all the court cases that he's put out, most of them have been thrown out. I think the only case he won was in Pennsylvania, and that was about allowing more poll workers in, or allowing poll workers within a certain distance of the vote counting.
Hmm.
But like out of like 20 cases, 19 got thrown out
Okay. So far,
so far.
yeah. Because I mean, there's definitely it's gonna be very interesting. I know they don't announce it till December 16th, right? That's when it's supposed to
The,
be officially announced.
yeah, when the electors get together and they
Hmm.
make everything official. So Trump could get some faithless electors, which would mean that like even though their state vote is one way, they vote another way.
Yeah,
Um, but
that's very rare.
it's very rare. It happened twice in 2016,
Hmm.
but Trump would need about 20 faithless electors to take the election.
Yeah. It's gonna. I mean, I think it's gonna be very, very, very interesting, especially if he does lose. What he's gonna do afterwards?
I think he's going to do the same thing he's always been doing. He's going
Just
to,
go back into media?
well, going back in the media, and he's probably going to run again in 2024, or at least maybe his son will. I think
Yeah.
I think this Republican Party is now the party of Trump. I think without him and his charisma, they wouldn't have gained the supporters they have now, and a lot of the supporters that like are diehard Trump supporters will follow him anywhere.
Oh
And he
yeah.
has, sorry.
I think with that, I mean, if they throw Don Jr. in there, that'll get votes. And if they throw somebody else, like honestly, I think the best candidate for Republicans right now will either be a toss up between Mike Pence, because Mike Pence is very solid. I mean, that guy's a very solid man. Either probably Ted Cruz. The work he's been doing over the past 4 years kind of gave me some faith in him. And then maybe somebody like they could throw a wild card in there, like Candace Owens. Like people
Really?
like her.
Candace Owens? I
People.
hate that. I hate her
Oh
with a
yeah, dude.
passion.
And it's the same thing. It has the same effect, right? Like Candace Owens, it's either you hate her or you love her. And and the same thing with like AOC. A lot of people hate her, a lot of people love her. It just depends on
Yeah,
where
but
you fall.
AOC will probably never be president because
I hope
AOC
not.
because like like with Fox News and everyone's telling everyone like, yeah, socialism is really popular with the Democratic Party, and when the reality is it's not. The Democratic
Right.
Party for the most part is like center right. We are the Democratic Party for the most part believes in very moderate policies, believes in kowtowing to corporate interests. And AOC and her gang are like a very small fringe that's very loud and has a lot of supporters. But
Yeah.
as far as they don't have the votes to really do anything, they don't have like they don't have a Nancy Pelosi that can whip everyone who's blue in line and have them vote a certain way. Like there's just no way.
I don't know. I know a lot of the younger crowd from like not our generation, but younger than us. I say probably go 3, 4 years behind us.
The
Um,
Zoomers.
a, yeah, a lot of them like AOC, and I listen to her. I'm like, this girl is ridiculous. There's no way. But that's just it. As people die off, and she gains more of these younger people, she can start to build a following. And I hope that doesn't happen, of course, but it can happen.
Well, I mean, she is a very good um she's a very good campaigner and she's very good at drumming up uh care for a cause. And
Mm.
she's very good at marketing. She's amazing at marketing to our generation and the younger generation. Like what she did with
Right. She's
the
on Twitch.
yeah. And
Yeah.
she actively like plays video games and is like not horrible at them.
Mm-hmm.
and like knows how to talk to people in that community and in that space, and in a world where that is becoming a lot more popular,
It is.
where video game influencers have millions of followers and thousands of views a day. That's
I
just
mean,
a platform that no other politician is tapping into.
right. Just like, and it's crazy because I mean, if you really look at it, have you ever looked at Gary Vaynerchuk stuff? Gary V.
Yeah.
He pushed that a lot, like
Hmm.
8 to 10 years ago.
Hmm.
He was definitely ahead of the curve. He was just pushing that like it's gonna go that way.
Yeah.
And as this technology gets more advanced, I mean, have you ever seen any Black Mirror episodes?
Yes.
Like I feel like Black Mirror is just more of a, all right, this is what we can do. Somebody try it, you know. Somebody try and
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah. We might be getting to that point, but as far as AOC becoming president, or it would just require not just the young people, but the corporations to get behind her. And frankly, like they just don't. And if you don't have the corporations behind you, AOC can drum up money through grassroots efforts, but it's really hard to compete with like the $1 billion
True. I mean, we
super
saw what happened with
PACs.
Bernie Sanders.
Yeah,
Like
and even
he had a base.
yeah, and even in this election, Biden outraised Trump by a bunch, and it showed in Texas and in Georgia and Pennsylvania. They had way more ads on television than Trump did, way more ads online than Trump did, and I think Trump even had to pull some ads in some places because he didn't have enough money.
Yeah. What do you think about how there? I feel like there was a push down in conservative viewership in like stuff places like Facebook. Like a lot of those videos suddenly started to disappear. What do you think about that?
What kind of conservative videos? Like, you have an example?
Like, okay, like let's give Ben Shapiro. How about him? His
Mm-hmm.
I would see a lot of his videos before, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not like I didn't react to him. Play with the fucking out with the algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but all of a sudden he just started disappearing off my timeline, and then I
Okay.
had to actually go search him because I knew he was making videos. I had
Mm-hmm.
to go search him,
Mm-hmm.
and then I can find him and like listen to his videos. So I was like, that's interesting. Well, he just started disappearing on my off my timeline. I mean, that's just one of the people that I for sure noticed. Um, and I was like, this is an interesting thing. But also, I mean, you have um, I don't think it's unknown that more the people who lean conservative in the public view
Mm-hmm.
suddenly just started disappearing off the internet.
I think it depends on who it is. For example, like Ben Shapiro, I don't use Facebook that much, honestly.
Hmm.
So I see him a bunch on Twitter and YouTube, and I watch some of his stuff just because I think that he does provide some good
I think
arguments,
he's
or at least
yeah,
it makes sense to me. I don't agree
yeah.
with most of what he says, but I still watch it. Um, but I don't know about Facebook, but on those platforms, I know that I still get notifications for them. I do know that some conservative voices uh, are getting like the ban hammer and stuff like that on some social media platforms. The argument for that is some of them are just saying some really outrageous stuff or inciting some really outrageous things, or are getting sued. Like, I know
Yeah,
Steven Crowder had issues with Vox, uh,
really.
particularly with one personality on Vox, where
Mm.
I guess he kept making fun of his sexual orientation and stuff like that, and then his
Steven Crowder, man,
and then his
he's a little
fans
much.
started harassing that person constantly.
Kind of
And
similar
that's
to like Alex Jones.
Alex Jones was different because with the Sandy Hook thing, he actually like said like this was all fake and everything, and the parents of the children who died were like, "Fuck this guy, we're gonna sue
Mm.
this guy," and everyone was just like, "Okay, yeah, you went too far," and they took his platform away.
Yeah. I think he's making a comeback though. I hear. I seen like him on Joe Rogan. I was like, oh shoot, look at there's Alex Jones.
Well,
haven't seen him in a minute.
him and Joe Rogan are good friends.
Yeah,
So, but I haven't seen him on anywhere else but Joe Rogan. I know he still has his website and he still has his followers, but like you don't really hear about him unless someone
yeah,
reacting to something he's done.
yeah, not really. And that's the only place I've seen him again pop up is on Joe Rogan's podcast. I was like, oh, for
Yeah,
sure. He's got some interesting stuff, man. Did you watch that podcast with him? They were talking about carbon. That one
I
went. That's a
don't.
rabbit hole.
Yeah, I don't really watch. I don't really watch him, but I do know a lot of people who do like him. If only for the fact that they think he's hilarious.
Who, Alex or Joe?
Alex.
Okay.
I watch Joe Rogan, but I don't watch all his shows because I don't like some of his guests aren't really interesting to me.
Yeah, he has some guests that I'm like, okay, I don't know who this is, but
Hmm.
he gets a lot of interesting combos on there. I like it.
Hmm. So, were you surprised by the result of this election, or what the result appears to be for this election?
See, no, there's something I was like, I expect the media to say Joe Biden's the winner.
Hmm.
Like I just was like, I do expect that because that's all we've been getting for the past 4 years.
Okay.
We anti-Trump, anti-Trump. The money's with the media, so I'm like, I don't expect him to come out, even if he does win, to say he won.
Well,
I really
4 years ago, they predicted him the winner the night of the election.
right, but also, I mean, if you really get into it, their argument now is okay. There's no election meddling. There's no fraud. There's none of that. But yet 4 years ago, they still cried Russian. And
Well, yeah, but there's a difference because they didn't say that Russia uh, actually went in and changed the ballots. Their argument was that Russia was influencing the election through social media and through
mhm,
through targeted propaganda.
they're saying
What
that. Okay, go
and
ahead.
what Trump is saying now is that the Democrats went in and took out ballots or put in thousands or millions of ballots, and that is a more substantial claim and a lot harder to prove, and it hasn't been proven yet.
Quick question for you: have you looked into the Dominion story?
Yeah, I've looked into it.
What do you
Uh,
think of that?
it does seem like there are some glitches with the machine,
Hmm.
but anytime it was caught, it seemed to have been rectified. Now, saying that there's like glitches, there's could have been something that wasn't captured or wasn't seen, but that doesn't uh, that doesn't direct to a what do you say malicious intent. That doesn't direct
Right.
to saying like the Democrats purposely put some program in there to make Trump votes go to Biden or only Biden votes to be counted or something like that.
Right.
Because it seems in the beginning they were just saying the Democrats stole this election. They maliciously added votes or put dead people in or took out Trump votes. And then the argument seems to be changing to, well, voting machines are glitching and changing
Mhm.
millions of votes from Trump to Biden. Trump should have won. When the reality is that the glitches that have happened have only affected a very, very, very minute portion of the votes, and that have been found have been rectified.
Right. So they're being rectified thanks to audits. Now,
They were
do,
rectified before the audits
how's that?
because they had found them, and then the audits happened, and they said, yeah, this happened this time like 3 weeks ago. We figured it out, and
Hmm.
we rectified it. But
Right. So
there hasn't been any new cases of the voting machines doing what they've been doing
so
that I
far,
know of.
right. But if it's a issue in the code, then the code is duplicated across the whole, where it's used everywhere, then that can be an issue, right?
Potentially, but
Right.
there's no evidence yet to say that it affected the election in any substantial way.
Exactly. And that's the whole thing. It's like, okay, Yes, right now we don't have evidence yet. They're still continuing their investigations.
Mm-hmm.
If they do come out and say, "Hey, we found these more irregularities. We did find these. We did find this." How hard is it now to? I mean, because do you remember? I don't know if you remember the Al Gore George Bush
Mm-hmm.
election, and you know
Yeah.
how that got decided by what 500 votes
Mm-hmm.
in one county. If they can do that enough times, that's all they're trying to do. I think that's their game right now. They're trying to do that enough times in enough counties to where it would flip it. That's the game. Is it gonna work? I have no idea. I'm not on their legal team, you know.
I
We
don't
have
think it's
no
gonna work because
we
it's.
well, yeah, I mean, that's the same thing. It's like, okay, we can say we don't think and we can say we don't think it's gonna work. We have no idea what's going on behind closed doors right there. And what the judges decide is gonna be what goes. I think
Mm-hmm.
I did see an article, but of course I'm kind of pulling off these articles because a lot of it now seems to me it's just that everybody's trying to push their idea a little bit harder. Like, okay, if I can push my idea of it's not happening more, then they can push their idea of it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Then eventually I can tell you, that my truth is truth. So
Right.
I'm trying to pull off of them because I'm saying, all right, whatever happens, it's out of my hands. But
Mm-hmm.
um, I guess because there's so it was I think it's Georgia
Mm-hmm.
that they disqualified a bunch of votes, and it was like a good 100,000 votes. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
what? That's a lot of votes for one.
Right.
That's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of votes. That's enough to swing some things. I mean, yeah, if you can find that, that'd be great because that's the
According to,
article I saw, but I have no idea.
let me check. Uh,
So disclaimer there, I'd be popping off on these articles.
no, it's fine. Election.
I think it was Georgia. It was one of the courts
Mm-hmm.
deemed a bunch of votes um, ineligible.
Okay. Votes deemed. Let me see. I'm not finding it. Deemed. uh, It says it began a recount.
Okay.
And it looks like after the recount, they still said that Biden won. And it says like Biden is up by 14,000 votes.
Mm,
So I don't know if it threw out because this article is from this article is from 13th or 18. It was
well, it's like
updated. Oh, this one was updated 18 hours ago.
okay. So wow, that's really close.
Yeah. So yeah, they're saying that they recounted. They finished the recount, and Biden is up 14,000 votes with 99% of the vote counted.
Mm, it's
So
gonna
it
be
looks like
close.
Biden. So it looks like Biden's probably going to win Georgia. He's up 0.3%
Yeah,
in Georgia.
it's gonna be interesting.